Now, Italian prosecutors are wrapping up their case in the murder trial of Amanda Knox, the American college student accused of brutally stabbing her roommate while studying abroad. 2020 anchor Elizabeth Vargas has been covering the case from the very beginning, and she joins us with the latest on a trial that has gripped not one, but as you know, two nations right now.
It really has, Robin. After nearly 11 months now, Italy's most notorious criminal trial is nearing an end. American Amanda Knox was back in court over the weekend, and for 7 hours, prosecutors gave their closing arguments, asking for a sentence of life in prison. 22-year-old Amanda Knox is about to learn her fate. Charged with the murder of her British roommate Meredith Kircher, she's been in prison in Perugia for 2 years, and she is about to find out if she'll spend the rest of her life behind bars. In court, she managed a smile here and there. But when the prosecution requested a life sentence and 9 months of solitary confinement if convicted, Knox began to weep.
She was sad. She was very touched by the terrible words that were used against her.
The prosecution alleges that on November 1st, 2007, Knox and her ex-boyfriend, Raffaele Sollecito, murdered Kircher, that it was part of a sex game that began after the two girls argued, and that it was Knox who slit Kircher's throat with a kitchen knife and staged a break-in as a cover-up, and then fled the scene. Knox addressed the court in near-perfect Italian, calling this pure fantasy. Meredith was my friend, and I didn't hate her, she told the 6 jurors and 2 judges who will decide her fate. The idea of revenge against a person who has always been good to me is absurd. 6,000 miles away in Seattle, Amanda's father, CURT, and her mother, EDDA, called the closing arguments fictitious and out of line.
It was actually very difficult for Amanda to listen to because they were saying things about her that had no semblance of her personality.
In Italy, where there is no death penalty, prosecutors are seeking the maximum sentence for Knox, life in prison. Her defense team says that's what the worst of Italy's mafia bosses get, not a 22-year-old college student with no criminal history.
It's terrible. It's the worst thing I've ever had to go through in my life.
Nonetheless, her parents remain hopeful. Amanda's lawyers get 2 days next week to make their own closing arguments.
She knows she's innocent. We know she's innocent. The evidence of the trial that's inside the actual courtroom clearly shows that she's innocent. Hopefully, we'll see and get to bring her home before Christmas.
After a day of rebuttals, the jury is expected to get the case late next week. They've been deliberating after each hearing, so the verdict could come quite soon. As for Amanda's parents, they have already bought her a plane ticket home, and if acquitted, she will be free immediately. If convicted, a long battle, a long process of appeals begins.
Of course, her parents remaining very optimistic. It was really seeing the prosecutors with a reenactment this weekend of what they speculate could have happened.
They do speculate, but they have no explanation for why there isn't a single speck of DNA evidence from Amanda in the room where the murder took place. Not a strand of hair, not a drop of blood, not a fingerprint, nothing.
But now it's her side with the closing arguments coming up. All right, Elizabeth, thank you so much.
Sure.